Your electric meter is spinning right now. It has been spinning every hour of every day since your home was built, and it will keep spinning until the day you leave. Millions of digital meters turn quietly on the sides of homes, counting kilowatt hours night and day, locking families into an endless monthly subscription fee. The average American household pays roughly $150 every month simply to remain hooked into this continental network, a permanent commitment to distant utility companies. This vast power grid did not always exist. Between 1935 and 1960, under the Federal Rural Electrification Administration, utility lines were stretched across thousands of miles of countryside, connecting rural homesteads to central power plants. Electric lights and appliances brought undeniable convenience, but they also quietly shifted farm self-reliance into long-term infrastructure dependence. Within a few decades, farm windmills were pulled down, timber ice houses rotted away, and the traditional skills needed to run an independent homestead stopped being passed down to younger generations. The Amish studied this transformation as it unfolded, calculated the long-term price of financial and technological reliance, and chose to walk away from the wire. Just a few hours from major East Coast cities, across the high rolling plains of Clarion County, Pennsylvania, entire working farms operate without a single electric wire attached to the grid. Yet inside these barns and houses, washing machines are running, water is pumping, and milk is cooling. Long before the first light of dawn breaks over the hills, Aaron Schwartz walks across the gravel path between his farmhouse and his barn. Inside the timber structure, the air smells of sweet clover, dried oat straw, and clean horse leather. Aaron moves quietly among 6 heavy draft horses standing in their wooden stalls. His 12-year-old son, Moses, walks alongside him carrying a heavy brass harness. Together, father and son work in practiced silence, lifting leather collars onto broad shoulders, buckling belly bands, and clicking iron rings into place. Outside, a cool June mist lingers above the dark soil. Aaron leads his 6-horse hitch out into the open field, holding the long leather reins loosely in his calloused hands. With a single, low-spoken command, the 6 horses lean into their harnesses as one. Hooves sink into damp earth, and iron disc blades slice cleanly into the ground, turning over green winter cover crops to prepare for summer buckwheat. There is no roar of an engine, only the rhythmic thud of hooves, the breathing of heavy animals, and the soft clink of metal against leather. Sitting in an air-conditioned tractor cab, a farmer might feel entirely separate from the dirt beneath him. But here, walking directly behind the team, Aaron feels every change in soil density through the wooden handle of his implement. In a global food system dominated by automated megafarms, supply chain consolidation, and high-speed machinery, Aaron's farm operates on an entirely different rhythm. Pausing at the turn of a row to let his team catch their breath, he looks across the fence line toward the distant highway. "Change can be good," he says softly, his eyes reflecting the quiet calm of the morning. "But it can also be scary. I prefer the 50-year change rather than the 5-minute change." For Aaron and his family, who moved to Clarion County to build a life centered around organic produce and intergenerational family work, this deliberate pace is not a historical reenactment, it is a shield. At the heart of their home is a simple philosophy. They choose to lead time rather than let time lead them. In the modern world, time is treated as a metric to be compressed and monetized. Speed, scale, and fast financial returns dictate daily life. But inside this farmhouse, technology is not accepted simply because it exists. Every new tool or convenience is brought before the community and evaluated with one primary question: will this strengthen our family and church, or will it draw us apart? When Plain communities stepped back from the electric grid, they broke their daily workload down to its raw physical basics. Looking around the farm, they realized that almost every chore requires only 3 fundamental inputs: movement, cold, or light. By focusing on those physical needs, they built a clever mechanical system that operates entirely off the modern grid. In an outbuilding behind Aaron's barn stands a single heavy stationary diesel engine. It does not generate electricity or charge chemical batteries. Instead, when Aaron turns the flywheel, the engine drives an industrial air compressor. High-pressure air is pushed into thick pipes buried underground, running directly into the barn, the workshop, and the rear washroom of the house. Inside the washroom, Aaron's wife connects a simple air-powered motor to a heavy-duty washing machine. With the turn of a brass valve, compressed air rushes into the motor, driving the agitator with smooth power. Out in the workshop, Moses uses a pneumatic drill to shape oak planks for a new wagon bed. When the work is done, Aaron shuts off the stationary engine, the air lines go quiet, and the daily operating cost instantly drops to zero. There are no monthly line fees, no peak demand surcharges, and no bills arriving in the mailbox at the end of the month. The same practical engineering keeps their food fresh without standard electric refrigeration. In late January, when winter freezes the farm pond with 8 inches of clear, solid ice, the entire neighborhood comes together. Men and young boys bundle into heavy wool coats and walk out onto the ice carrying long hand saws and metal ice tongs. They cut massive square blocks from the pond, haul them up the bank on wooden sleds, and stack them tightly inside a heavy timber ice house. As each layer of ice is laid down, boys shovel thick, dry oak sawdust gathered from local lumber mills into every gap and over the top. This sawdust creates a remarkable insulating blanket. Even during severe August heat waves, when the sun bakes the roof of the ice house, less than 25% of the ice melts away over the entire summer. Inside the kitchen, milk, butter, and fresh berries rest inside gas absorption refrigerators that run quietly on propane for decades without a single electric wire or circuit board. Out in the barn, cold well water is lifted up to elevated gravity tanks using tall windmills that creak softly in the summer breeze. Nearby streams power hydraulic ram pumps, which use the kinetic force of falling water to push fresh water hundreds of feet uphill into stock tanks without burning a single cup of fuel. By organizing their routine around water, gravity, and mechanical air, the family does not suffer from a lack of power, they thrive without ongoing expenses. After finishing the morning field work, Aaron walks back to the house where his family gathers around a long wooden table. The kitchen is bright with sunlight pouring through uncurtained windows. His wife and daughters set down large bowls of scrambled eggs gathered from the chicken coop an hour ago, fresh pan-baked bread, homemade apple butter, and pitchers of cool milk from the cellar. Before anyone touches a fork, the room falls into complete, motionless silence for 2 full minutes of silent prayer. Yet this choice to live without modern digital tools creates a fascinating economic paradox. Aaron and his neighbors do not own smartphones, use computers, or drive trucks, yet they successfully sell thousands of pounds of fresh produce each week into major organic grocery markets across the region. The link between these traditional farms and city markets is built by local cooperatives and non-Amish managers who respect the community's boundaries. In western Pennsylvania, Zeb Kelly manages Clarion River Organics. Zeb coordinates the harvest schedules, washing standards, packing boxes, and refrigerated trucking for 18 local Amish family farms, sending organic butternut squash, bok choy, and romaine lettuce into regional distribution hubs. Further south, the Lancaster Farm Fresh Cooperative, started in 2005 by a small group of farmers sitting on straw bales in a candlelit barn, now manages distribution for more than 300 regional farms. Because plain growers cannot check market prices on tablets or answer cell phone calls, these cooperatives handle modern commercial logistics, forming a protective barrier around the traditional rhythm of the farm. To overcome the lack of instant digital communication, cooperative staff and local farmers built a physical message network, locally known as the Lancaster Wide Web. If Aaron notices unusual yellow spots on his tomato leaves during morning chores, he cannot snap a digital photo and text it to a university extension agent. Instead, when Casey Spatched from the cooperative stops by the farm to drop off wooden packing crates, he walks out into the field with Aaron. Casey takes a photo with his camera, drives back to the central office, and prints out paper copies.
The next morning, truck drivers deliver these printed photos directly into wooden message boxes mounted on fence posts at dozens of plain farms across the valley. Within 2 days, handwritten notes from experienced growers flow back along the same delivery routes. One grower recommends a specific organic copper spray. Another suggests adjusting soil drainage. The community diagnoses and solves the agricultural problem together using paper, ink, and daily milk trucks. This slower flow of information creates moments of humor between modern business managers and traditional growers. Plain families eat fresh produce harvested straight from their backyard gardens, valuing food for its taste and nutrition rather than its physical perfection. When a commercial grocery buyer rejects a pallet of organic bok choy because of tiny holes left by flea beetles, an Amish farmer will often pick up a crisp leaf, inspect it closely, and look at the cooperative manager with a smile, saying, "There's a lot of good eat in there." That phrase has become a quiet refrain among the cooperative workers. It highlights two entirely different ways of viewing the world. One culture evaluates food by its flawless appearance on a brightly lit supermarket shelf. The other measures it by the health of the soil, the cleanliness of the water, and the honest human labor spent bringing it out of the ground. The decision to use draft horses instead of large diesel tractors is central to keeping this human-scale economy alive. Modern commercial farming pushes operators towards massive tractors, allowing one person to cultivate thousands of acres alone while taking on hundreds of thousands of dollars in equipment debt. Working fields with draft horses sets a clear limit on how much ground one family can handle. A horse-powered farm usually tops out between 80 and 100 acres. Because no single operation can swallow up thousands of acres, a single tract of 1,000 acres in Clarion County can support 10 independent farm families instead of one large corporate tractor operator. Sitting on his porch after supper, Jerry Miller, a farmer from Ohio, explains the philosophy simply. As Amish people, we cherish community. Community to us trumps everything. Working with living animals also imposes a healthy boundary on the workday. A tractor can be refueled in 5 minutes and driven through the night under heavy lights. A 6-horse hitch of Belgian sorrels or dark percherons needs water, shade, and rest after hours of heavy pulling. When the horses stop to rest, the farmer rests too. Aaron unhitches his team at 5 o'clock every afternoon, leads them to the watering trough, washes the sweat from their backs, and turns them out into the green pasture. This built-in pause prevents work from creeping into every hour of the evening, leaving time for family meals, reading, and visiting neighbors. The draft horses are deep partners in the family's daily survival. Children learn their names before they start school, helping feed them oats in the morning and brushing their coats after chores. By 8 years old, young Moses was driving a pony cart to the local store. By 14, he was handling a 4-horse hitch in the plow field. In the soil, the horses offer distinct biological advantages. Heavy machinery crushes soil structure, compacting dirt and destroying tiny air pockets needed for water drainage and root growth. A team of horses distributes its weight across 4 moving hooves, causing minimal soil compaction. This allows Aaron to walk out and disc his fields much earlier in the spring, without turning wet ground into hard clay. At the same time, the manure produced by the horses is composted with straw and spread back over the fields, returning organic matter, feeding soil microbes, and boosting the Earth's natural ability to hold moisture through dry summer weeks. To combine traditional horsepower with modern operational needs, specialized blacksmiths and machinery shops have developed updated equipment. At Pioneer Equipment in Dalton, Ohio, craftsmen build heavy-duty steel forecarts that hitch directly behind horse teams. These forecarts feature standing platforms, steering linkages, foot brakes, and small auxiliary engines designed to run the power shafts on modern farm implements like hay balers and disc mowers. Using one of these hybrid forecarts on his farm in Ohio, Jerry Miller can mow, rake, and bale 22 acres of heavy grass hay in a single afternoon. His team of horses provides the heavy forward pull, while the small engine runs the baler mechanism, turning out tight 1,000-pound round bales using just 3 gallons of gas. This combination of low overhead, minimal machinery debt, and biologically diverse crop rotation makes these small farms exceptionally resilient when agricultural markets drop. A detailed multi-year study led by researcher Deborah Stinner at The Ohio State University analyzed the financial performance of Old Order and New Order Amish dairy farms in Holmes County, Ohio. The study tracked farms ranging from 82 to 120 acres with small herds of just 7 to 27 milk cows. The results surprised the research team. Despite their small acreage and low-tech methods, the Amish farms consistently retained an average of 54% of their gross farm income as clear cash
cash profit. Conventional, highly mechanized dairy farms in the same region retained only 17% of their gross earnings. In several study years, a plain family milking just 27 cows brought home as much clean net profit as a commercial dairy operation milking 68 cows under heavy equipment debt. The source of this profitability is the complete refusal to carry large debt loads or buy expensive chemical inputs. Relying on horses instead of $250,000 tractors cuts machinery capital and repair costs by more than half. By rotating crops every year, moving from corn to oats, wheat, grass hay, and red clover, Aaron breaks weed and insect cycles naturally, eliminating the need for chemical sprays. Nitrogen is pulled out of the air and fixed into the dirt by deep-rooted clover crops, while livestock manure supplies natural phosphorus and potassium. When market prices for milk or grain crash, conventional farms carrying massive bank loans face immediate financial danger. Aaron's farm, carrying zero equipment loans and minimal fuel costs, simply rides out the storm without worry. This economic strength is backed by a tradition of shared labor known as a frolic. When a family loses a barn to lightning strike, or when a massive crop must be harvested before a storm hits, neighbors do not wait to be asked. Dozens of men and boys arrive at dawn, carrying hammers, saws, and timber bars. Women set up long tables under the trees, serving hot stews, baked pies, and cold lemonade. By sunset, a timber-framed barn stands where charred ground lay that morning. What could have been a bank-shattering disaster is transformed into a celebration of community support. Financial backing is also organized internally through shared systems like the Amish Helping Fund in Ohio. Supported by community contributions, this fund holds tens of millions of dollars in capital, offering low-interest home and land loans to young couples buying their very first farm. Built on shared accountability and deep personal relationships, the fund maintains a foreclosure rate of 0% across decades of operation. As the late afternoon sun casts long shadows across the Clarion County hills, Aaron walks out to the edge of the vegetable patch. A short distance away, his son Moses works his own dedicated plot of land, guiding a single horse down rows of young green sweet peppers. Moses stops, bends down to pull a handful of weeds around a pepper plant, and checks the moisture in the soil. At 16, he's managing his very first independent crop, taking responsibility for his own soil, harvest, and sales. Aaron watches his son with quiet satisfaction. He sees a young man learning not just how to raise food, but how to live a grounded, independent life rooted in faith, hard work, and family unity. In an era dominated by rapid technological change and shifting economic trends, Aaron knows his family is safeguarding something rare and durable. Looking out over his fields as the evening light turns the sky to gold, Aaron rests his hand on the wooden fence post. He reflects on the choices that brought his family here and the quiet strength that keeps them grounded day after day. If this doesn't work, he says, with a gentle, steady smile, we'll find another way to the pantry door.